people not familiar with Kryptonite1, could you summarize what the company is and does?
Sure. So we were set up about a year and a half ago to, I suppose, take advantage of what was called the token economy, which was an area of the blockchain space that was emerging at the time. And we're listed on the NEX exchange, and we're an Isle of Man-based company. And we effectively look at the token economy, we decide which projects are interesting, and then we take a stake in that company through their token offerings. And then we manage those tokens in the market.
You're an incubator company, so you incubate tokens, or
to some degree. So
is the incubator idea just sort of not really what you're about?
Well, I mean, if by incubate you mean sort of seed fund and then advise through to some outcome, then yes, I suppose we do
or
that.
An accelerator, perhaps.
Yeah. So we try to find young companies who are trying to build these decentralized applications in the blockchain space. And we assess the team and assess the project, and then we decide to allocate some funding to that project in return for a token offering. And then we, if they need our assistance, we will advise them through their their roadmap to the public offering. An ICO. So we are pre-ICO. We do talk to these companies far earlier on in their life cycle before they have what's called the public token event, and we effectively add value to that process by being able to advise them on token mechanics and other things like that we feel like we can help them with.
So you've got a basket of tokens that
we have
companies you've invested in?
Absolutely. So we're currently advisors for an interesting insurance marketplace called IX Ledger. And they're looking to produce a blockchain-based platform to bring various areas of the insurance market to I suppose to communicate and participate with each other on a trading market platform. And so they have a lot of experience in the insurance space. They're clearly building blockchain infrastructure, and so they felt like they needed a team of people who understood the market space and could tell them about all the things about community outreach, how to effectively manage the tokens in a way that's prudent. Movements in the market, in the crypto sphere. So we talk to them regularly. And then
how do you actually make an exit on a?
How do you make an exit on a? Well, basically, all these tokens they exist on a secondary market on various exchanges, and these tokens are available globally to anyone who wants to participate in that project.
So there's a fair amount of liquidity in the secondary market for tokens.
Certainly there is. Multiples of millions for some of them.
Do you have to be a specialist investor to invest directly in tokens?
No, well, there's a certain amount of understanding you have to have for sure, because just in how you store these assets, you have to understand that aspect of it. Then, to some extent, you have to be in the conversation to understand when these things are happening and what it is you're buying. Now, in the early days, I mean, it was only a year ago, we knew everything that was coming to market, and we could have a clear idea of what we were going to buy step by step. Now the market is clearly, it's got thousands of these ICOs coming to play.
I understand there are 200 of these coming to market in October alone. Is that right?
Right, exactly. And that's just the ones you've heard about. I mean,
how do you do due diligence on 200 companies?
Well, we don't. We have to have filter systems in place, and very much the world we're moving towards now is who hands you the project. So clearly there are projects that need funding. Clearly they get into a certain area of advisorship amongst the community, and then we're known as an institution that can provide funding for a certain kind of token project. And we will get a call to say, look guys, I've looked at this, it's really interesting, would you guys take a look as well? So I suppose first port of call would be, where does the project, how does the project get onto your radar? And if it comes from a source that you know and trust, then it's something worth looking at. Sure, there are going to be things that get missed, because 200 ICOs a month, you can't see them all.
When you make an investment,
yes.
How long do you hold on to it for?
Every investment's different. We hold on to a portion of everything we invest in. I say that there's one that so far we're out of, but we might move back in again if the market changes. But effectively we hold. We reduce our size of token holdings in line with what the market's doing, but essentially speaking, it's a buy and hold.
Do you essentially get your money back and then let the tokens?
Yeah. So there's certainly we have a pipeline of projects that are going to need that we're interested in, are going to need some form of funding, and then we have a basket of tokens that are doing have different values depending on what the markets are doing, and we'll make a decision as to where in our basket we can withdraw some to put into another project.
And you're a NEX exchange. Has that been a successful relationship for you?
It's been fantastic because a year and a half ago when we started out, no one knew what this was. We'd seen it emerging for quite some time, but when you go to the investor market and you say, look, this is what we're gonna build, very often you get a kind of slightly blank stare. The NEX exchange has allowed us to start very small and grow very quickly, and it's given us the infrastructure to do that, should I say.
It's presumably an easier way to actually invest rather than putting money directly into tokens, which seems like quite a high risk thing to do.
Yeah, there's certainly, I myself, I've been in the space 7 years. My colleagues have been in it a long time as well, so we've seen a lot, and you've seen how the marketplace works, all the do's and don'ts that you've tried and tested yourself over the years. And so I'd say that to just step into this space as an investor and start purchasing ICOs, ICO tokens, does take, if you're going to do it successfully, does take a lot of self-education.
So what would you advise the private retail investor who's interested in this space to do? Last, final question.
Well, it's always a good idea to have a filter system in place, and if that filter system happens to be a company that's doing that for you and has a clear track record of producing good results on their decisions.
And your results, what are they like?
What are the results like? Well,
in the presentation you confessed you just made £2 million on an investment. Did I hear correctly?
Just paid.
In the presentation I heard that you
Yes.
made a £2 million profit on an investment.
Yeah, so some of these tokens do go up in value very significantly. Amise Go, I think we bought it around 24 cents. It hit just under $13. Gollum, we went in at 1 cent. It hit 66 cents. So the uplift on these things can be very extreme. They don't always stay that way, obviously. They move around. But
are we living in a bubble? Can these results happen forever?
Clearly, there's a lot of exuberance. Clearly, there's a
irrational exuberance, perhaps.
Yes. No. There's a spectrum of projects. It's like everything. It's a new technology. There's a lot of obfuscatory kind of language going around, and that's why I said before, people just moving into the space, it's very easy to not see the wood for the trees, essentially.
What can we expect from Kryptonite in the next 6 months or so?
Well, the plan is to very much continue to do what we're doing, get access to great projects earlier, increase our brand awareness, because as our brand moves through the cryptosphere to some degree, we become known as a company who invest in the right things, and that's very much what we'd like to do. We like to have that credibility of being able to show these ones are very good and these ones are not so good, and that's basically our business, and that's what we'll live and die on.
George Mcdonaugh, thank you very much indeed.